Welcome to this guided tour of INOGENI's CamTrack, our intelligent, automated, multi-camera switcher designed to deliver natural, hands-free video production in meeting rooms, classrooms, and collaborative spaces. In this video, we will walk through the entire CamTrack workflow, from room configuration to camera control, including microphone zones, automatic switching, and integrations with Shure audio devices. Chapter 1. What is CamTrack? CamTrack is a standalone module that uses real-time data from Shure microphones to automatically control and switch up to 8 PTZ cameras for the standard version and up to 12 PTZ cameras for the CamTrack Pro version. This smart device allows every small, medium, or large room to offer broadcast-style video capture without an operator. CamTrack works with an extensive list of PTZ camera manufacturers, including Canon, Aver, Sony, Panasonic, and virtually all IP PTZ cameras. CamTrack fully integrates with INOGENI's CAM230 and CAM300 selectors, supporting HDMI and USB signals. NDI signals are natively supported by CamTrack and can be converted to your device using INOGENI's IP2 USB converter for seamless integration of all camera types. The system is compatible with Shure MXA901, MXA910, MXA920, MXA710, and MXA310 microphones, as well as Microflex Wireless Next and Microflex Complete wireless systems. It can also be powered by Shure's DSPs such as P300 and any USB matrix interface or the IMX Room software. The standard CamTrack can obtain data from up to 4 Shure audio devices, while the Pro version can use up to 8. CamTrack detects where the audio is coming from for the people speaking in the room and sends precise commands to PTZ cameras, creating a smooth and professional experience for video meetings. Chapter 2. Room Layouts and Audio Zones. CamTrack adapts to a wide variety of room types and sizes. For this demonstration, we are using a virtual room configured as follows: 3 cameras at the front of the room, 1 on each side of the monitor, and a wide-angled camera installed under the monitor. A Shure MXA901 ceiling microphone, and 11 zones representing the chairs. The microphone's active zone tells CamTrack which PTZ camera to move to its preset position. Zones can be small meeting corners or large spaces, such as training rooms or classrooms. Each Shure microphone supports up to 8 zones, or even more for the MXA901 and MXA920 microphones that use XYZ coordinates. Each of these zones is linked to a camera preset. To configure your CamTrack, simply use your web browser to enter the mDNS address located under the device. This is always composed of CamTrack, followed by the last 6 characters of the MAC address .local. 2 software slots are available. Slot number 2 is mainly used for testing, as it only supports 1 camera and 1 microphone, so we will use slot number 1. Once the dashboard appears, follow the steps to configure the plugged devices. As we saw in the introduction, our virtual room is equipped with the 3 cameras and a single microphone. The first step is to select the number of microphones and cameras. We can then move on to configuring the microphones. Chapter 3. Configuring Shure microphones. A configuration pane display window will appear for each microphone or DSP depending on the number selected on the previous page. For each one, you can add a name of your choice and the device's IP address. Pressing the button here will establish the connection. Once the connection is established, the button turns orange. The device model is shown here, and we can see the network name that has been given to this device. For ceiling microphones, such as the MXA910 or MXA920 configured in manual mode, CamTrack retrieves each active lobe. Therefore, the number of channels here will be linked to the number of lobes that have been configured in each device. For MXA710 bars, the zones are loaded automatically. The same applies to MXA310 tabletop microphones. In the case of MXA920 microphones in automatic coverage mode, as well as MXA901 microphones, CamTrack uses positioning coordinates, which offer even greater precision. As we saw in the introduction, our virtual room has 11 zones connected to the same microphone. So, since we are using XYZ coordinates, this is possible with the MXA901. We will select 11 channels representing the 11 chairs. We will see later how to associate camera presets for each of these zones. Chapter 4, Camera Configuration. The next step is to configure the cameras. For the purposes of this training, we will use 3 different cameras, a Panasonic, a PTZ optics, and a Canon. The same principle applies to the configuration display windows. You have the ability to name the camera whatever you like, as this can make it easier to recognize. Or you can just enter camera number 1 along with the IP address and the login credentials. Now select the control protocol, in this case Panasonic. To test our connection, we can use the control buttons to make sure we are controlling the right camera. It is a best practice to use a fixed IP address for cameras, as this avoids address changes and therefore prevents CamTrack from losing track of the camera. For PTZ optics, the protocol is VISCA over IP. However, the presets start at 0 for this camera. Again, we can verify we are controlling the right camera. And lastly, let's move on to the Canon. Select the Canon's proprietary protocol and verify that the camera moves. Chapter 5, Configuring the Camera Switcher. In the case of our virtual room, the camera selector will be the INOGENI CAM230. Since we have 3 cameras, we will select 3 inputs. We can give it a name, enter the IP address, and then press the button. The connection appears to be established. However, you will see that the LEDs turn red. This indicates that the selector has refused the connection because the token has not been entered. On the CAM230 configuration page under the System tab, there is a button to collect the token. The 3 configuration boxes represent the 3 camera inputs as configured on the previous page. Here they will be in the same order: Panasonic, PTZ optics, and Canon. The activation delay prevents camera movements from being visible on the screen. Simply enter the time each camera takes to move between the most distant presets. For example, if the camera takes 400 milliseconds to move between the 2 most distant presets, we will select 500 milliseconds to give ourselves some buffer time to avoid any unpleasant camera movements for users. Chapter 6, Switching and Transition. Once the microphones, cameras, and switchers are connected, the next step will be to configure automation. When the microphone detects a new speaker, CamTrack identifies the active zone, selects the appropriate camera, sends the PTZ command to move the preset, and waits for the camera to be in position, as mentioned before. This triggers the video switcher to smoothly transition to the best available view. CamTrack is transparent to cameras with AI. It automatically activates their auto-framing or tracking function when a preset is detected. This ensures natural transitions, no abrupt cuts, and no back and forth movement. If 2 people speak at the same time, CamTrack determines the dominant zone and chooses the best preset. Chapter 7, Understanding the Logic Table. The channel configuration table displays a row for each channel or microphone zone, plus 3 situations automatically managed by CamTrack. Each column plays a key role in defining the system's response to speech. Location and name allow you to label each channel or zone with a location or speaker name. This is optional but can be useful for larger systems. The on-off control allows you to enable or disable a channel. If it is off, it is ignored. The audio column indicates signal detection for each channel. The active and reserved indicators show when a channel is active or on standby. The speed column determines the minimum time for activation and the silence tolerance. Low values offer more stability and high values offer a faster response. The condition column will be used in more complex situations when one channel may depend on another before activation. This can be useful if you have overlapping lobes. There are 5 priority levels to define the behavior of the zones. A priority zone takes control as soon as it is active. Chapter 8. Basic Room Scenario Setup. CamTrack automatically manages 3 scenarios: no active microphone, far-end audio detected, or more than one active zone at the same time. In the current configuration, the ideal solution would be to use the wide view of the camera that is installed in the center of the monitor for the 3 special situations. This is our camera number 3 and is associated with preset number 1. Chapter 9. Preset and the A, B, or C view assignment by audio zone. According to our room configuration for each of the cameras, presets 11 to 21 will be associated with each of the 11 zones, or if you prefer, each of the 11 chairs. For the purposes of the training, the 11 presets have already been saved in the 3 cameras. The best view for the chairs on the left side of the room will be associated with camera number 2. We will therefore select camera number 2 as view A and press fill down to associate it with all the subsequent positions. The person sitting in position number 6 will obviously have a better view of the center camera. So for number 6, we will select camera number 3. However, we will press no in order to select only this position. Camera number 1 offers a more perpendicular view of the participants on the right side of the room. We will therefore select camera number 1 for the last 5 positions. In terms of camera presets, as mentioned, we will use presets 11 to 21. The secondary view, or view B, will be provided by the opposite camera, except for position number 6, for which we can use camera number 1 and camera number 2 as views B and C. The camera opposite camera number 2 is number 1. We will therefore associate it here. It can easily serve as view B for position number 6, so starting from position 7 onwards, we will select camera number 2. Once again, as the presets are already stored in our cameras, the view C for our chair number 6 will be camera number 2 with preset number 16. Chapter 10. MXA901 and MXA920 Advanced Logic Modes and XYZ Positioning. For Shure MXA920 and MXA901 microphones, the logic mode must be selected. The first 4 options only apply to the MXA920. This involves choosing the coverage mode, either automatic or manual, and using the lobes. For each of these options, you can choose whether or not to use the voice activity detection function. This option provides more accurate tracking as it ignores noise and only detects the human voice. The 5th option for both microphone models uses X, Y, and Z coordinates provided by the microphone. This method is the most accurate of the 5, and since it is the only one available for our MXA901, that is what we will select. The next configuration block is used to position the zones relative to the microphone based on the configuration previously done in the Shure Designer software. We will position the 11 zones in the space. As we can see, the microphone is centered perfectly between chairs number 3 and number 9. We can use this as a starting point and guide. We will select all our channels or zones and start positioning them. Since chairs number 3 and number 9 were in front of the microphone, we can start placing them. Our chairs measure approximately 60 by 60 centimeters, or 24 inches by 24 inches, and we will need to adjust them. The units can also be changed to imperial mode at the bottom of this display window if needed. Once the zones are positioned, it is best to move from zone to zone, ensuring that the audio is detected in the right place and adjusting if necessary. To facilitate the validation of all camera presets, the channel simulator simulates the activation and deactivation of certain channels via HTTP commands in the logic table, effectively mimicking microphone or DSP trigger signals. Simply open the simulator. Validate that the number of channels matches the number of zones. In our case, we have 11 zones. Select the minimum and maximum time for opening the channels. Select the activation order, random or sequential. Then press Start. Chapter 11, Camera Views Optimization. When choosing cameras, there are 3 possible behaviors. By selecting No Camera Rotation, the camera remains active until a new zone change. Select Priority to View A if the camera associated with View A is already in use. To avoid seeing PTZ movements, View B will be the CamTrack and will return to View A after the delay specified in the adjacent dialog box. The rotation planner allows CamTrack to alternate between views A, B, and C, as well as to make the view more dynamic with adjustable intervals and random variations for a natural look. The selection mode allows you to choose the priority when a zone becomes active. The choices are to prioritize the zone that is already active if its priority is equal to the new one, or to prioritize the last active zone, which again only works if the priority is equal. If a higher priority has been assigned to a zone, the latter will take precedence. Chapter 12, Timing Settings. Based on user expectations, it is possible to adjust the delays before and after audio detection for smooth transitions. The minimum time between presets prevents overly rapid switching. The minimum time for this section is 2.5 seconds. Pre-detection times for special situations add a waiting time before switching, and post-detection extends the shot after the end of the situation. Chapter 13, Far-End Audio Mapping. The last display window allows you to select which device and channel carries the audio signal from the far side. CamTrack uses this to detect remote speakers and react instantly. Chapter 14, System Settings, Backup, and Exporting. Once our configuration is complete, we can return to the home page and save this device's global presets. If you have a multifunctional room, this can be useful for saving multiple configurations. You can also decide which overall preset will be used after the device is restarted. On the last page, you can configure your device. You have access to the settings for standby mode, startup behavior, and changing the login credentials for the dashboard, as well as backing up and restoring configurations. You can do a complete backup of the presets, update the firmware, and shut down or restart the device. You can also reset to factory settings or change network settings. Chapter 15, Setup Assistant. To facilitate configuration, we included setup assistants. These are available via the CamTrack homepage. Each step will be described in the window. Simply read the instructions and enter the data in the configuration block highlighted by an orange rectangle. Once the data has been entered, you can move on to the next step. When all steps have been completed, you can simply exit the assistant and save your configuration under the global preset of your choice. Chapter 16, Conclusion. You now know how audio channels, camera presets, logic rules, and system behaviors work together to provide intelligent and seamless tracking. See you in the next video to discover advanced features.